What is up, everybody? Welcome to Countdown to Classic. This is a podcast that educates, informs, and gossips about World of Warcraft Classic. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, as you can see, we discuss the news, hot button issues, and content of the highly anticipated World of Warcraft Classic. I'm your host, Josh Corbett, and thank you for joining me for our very first Friday episode. Over the past couple of weeks, I asked you all if you wanted 3 episodes per week, and the feedback was unanimous that this was what you wanted. 3 helpings of Countdown to Classic per week. So, let's get crazy and move forward with the new schedule, which will look something like this. We'll have Meticulous Mondays, which will still bring you all the news, forum discussions, and gossip surrounding World of Warcraft Classic. Way Back Wednesdays will be our weekly deep dive into the lore and community reactions to the content of the game. And Forensic Fridays will bring you a weekly interview with one of you, the players, who can shed light on particular areas of the game and the community with a little bit of a deep dive in an interview style. Having said that, this first Friday episode is a bit of a special bonus episode. The interviews will actually start next week. Sorry for the tease. But for now, I've mentioned to you all that I do have another podcast that I'm involved with. Sorry if this is news to you about the cheating. And that show is called The Cinephiles. And we can be found at cinephiles.com. That's SINNERFILES. It's a popular show here in Australia where we break down a movie twice per week with tongues firmly in cheek, as the 2 guys I do the show with are far from serious men. But we're looking to expand beyond the borders of Australia, and we'd love to have as many of you come on board as we can. To celebrate the recent launch of Countdown to Classic, my co-hosts on the Cinephiles were gracious enough to do somewhat of a crossover episode and cover the 2016 Warcraft movie. And so we recently got together and gave that movie the Cinephiles treatment. Now, if you're not particularly interested in the Warcraft movie or movies in general, I would still suggest you stick around, as there's a lot of great Warcraft-related humor in this episode nonetheless that you will enjoy. I hope you all have a great time through the episode. It's a lot of fun with a lot of laughs, and if you like what you hear, then I do recommend checking out the rest of our work over at the Cinephiles. A lot of recent episodes are particularly funny, with recommendations being our takes on Inception, The Dark Knight, The Shawshank Redemption, 50 Shades of Grey, Brad Pitt, Starship Troopers. It's all there, guys. Start with those ones. See how you go. And with that, I'll just go ahead and run the whole episode straight from the top with the intro and all. If you stick around to the very end of the show after the episode has played out completely, I'll pop back on just to give you all a bit of a show update about the interviews to come on future Friday episodes. Anyway, for now, I hope you enjoy this bit of fun. I'll see you all on Monday when we get back to the news and all the nitty-gritty of World of Warcraft Classic. Please enjoy, everyone. Welcome to the Cinephiles. This is a podcast where we confess, debate, and atone for our biggest cinematic sins. Each episode, one of your 3 co-hosts jumps into the confessional and confesses a sin they have in relation to a popular movie or actor. My name is Josh, and with me, as always, is Liam.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, good sir. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great and ready to adventure into, without spoiling it, Azeroth.
It's going to be quite the adventure. And we've got a third ragtag member of our group. And
Who's
that person
the
is...
rogue.
The rogue indeed.
Hello.
Stu.
Hello. Can I come?
You can, Stu. You can come along.
Oh.
What do you have to offer the party?
He's a noob.
I'm really nice at parties.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can cook souffle.
These are some pretty good skills that are stacking up.
Yeah.
Are these going to help in war?
Well, you know what? we'll make it work.
We'll make it
How
work,
about that?
buddy.
All right.
Anyway, just before I jump into the confessional, everyone, and get to my sin, I just want to remind you all that you can find everything Cinephiles related at cinephiles.com. And also, please add, follow, subscribe, like, all that jazz on our social accounts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and anywhere else you might want to try and have a look for us. But with all that being said and done, I will now jump into the confessional. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. My love for a particular video game has led me to see the movie adaptation a fair few times, and that movie is Warcraft.
For years, our world has been at peace. But something is coming. I can feel it. Dark forces are upon us. Find these beasts, or whatever they are.
Our world is dying. There is nothing to go back to. If our people are to survive, we must make a home here. Whatever happens.
Whatever happens. If we do not unite, our world will perish.
This doesn't need to happen. There is one who may help us.
For orcs, there is no other life but war. No, but with the humans' help, there could be.
Why are you here?
To save our people.
Can we trust him?
They're beasts. They should all be destroyed.
Are you sure about that? We'll protect the kingdom. You and I.
You'd side with the humans against your own kind.
This is suicide. We have no choice. We should attack with full force.
Whatever you plan to do, do it now!
Warcraft, a 2016 film that was directed by Duncan Jones. It stars Travis Fimmel, Paula Patton, Ben Foster, and a few others. IMDb describes the movie as an orc horde invades the planet Azeroth using a magic portal, a few human heroes and dissenting orcs must attempt to stop the true evil behind this war.
Josh, you have nominated this as the sin of gluttony. Gluttony is committed when the sinner has viewed a movie to excess. The movie, be it good or bad, is a creature comfort that is constantly revisited. The sinner will purge the sin by justifying what is about the movie that continues to bring them back. You, my friend, are not someone who has gluttony as a sin too often because you don't revisit that many films.
No, I don't have that much time to revisit a lot of films.
But you're very much sort of a one and done guy. For most movies, you like to get in, get out, and you've then enjoyed the experience.
Yes, much like my attitude with life. Once enough for me.
Sure.
And love.
Yeah.
And love. One is enough for me.
Yeah.
Now,
and,
Hello,
yeah.
ladies.
Now, you mentioned that you don't have a lot of time to visit films. I guess that's because you spend a lot of your time doing a second podcast called Countdown to Classic.
That is correct. And
Or as we like to call it, the other podcast.
Yes, the Mistress podcast, indeed. Look, yes, I have started another podcast, and that is the reason that we're sitting here talking about this particular movie. It's a bit of a honouring of the launch of Countdown to Classic, and I do thank you, gentlemen, for partaking in the breakdown of this particular film with me. But a note for our regular listeners, we're going to get a little bit nerdy here. Now, if you're not into this kind of thing, we understand. understand, and we won't begrudge you at all for perhaps checking out and coming back for when we're back to talking about Brad Pitt's dick or something like that.
Look, you'll never hear this from me before, again, sorry, but feel free to not listen to this episode. If video game film adaptations are not your thing, this episode will not be for everyone.
Does that disclaimer extend to me?
No, you're stuck with us. You have to stay.
If I happen to go over and make a sandwich at one point and just come back
I've got the
just check in where you're up to.
I've got the contract, and I can see your bloody thumbprint clearly imprinted at the bottom. You're in this.
Fuck that one in, all in.
Yes. But for those of you who might happen to enjoy a good video game movie adaptation...
I'm sorry, enjoy a good one.
Well,
because there hasn't been...
Well, this one may have been close.
This may be the closest to the best.
Yes, it's been a tough time for movie adaptations of video games, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, Silent Hill,
Tomb Raider,
Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, no.
Both Tomb Raider, all three Tomb Raiders.
Absolutely. But as we said, you guys have been kind enough to indulge me, and this one is getting sent out to the Countdown to Classic listeners as well. So everyone, we hope you have a good time with us. What we do here on the Cinephiles is we break down these movies with just a few select scenes. So we're not going through everything. I've got half a dozen scenes from the movie here that I've picked, and we'll be having a bit of fun with them and going through the ins and outs of these particular scenes. So, gentlemen, the first scene that I bring to you is the trip through the dark portal.
So many clans in one place, Ogren. Laughing Skull, Blackrock, all have been summoned. It will be a mighty warband. Just wonder who's left to fight. How much longer, Blackhand? We are ready, Gul'Dan.
I got it. Dad, Daddy.
What did she say?
She begs for you to free her child.
But I need him. I need all of them.
Now we get this introduction to the characters and places of Warcraft.
We see a bit of Draenor, we see a bit of Azeroth.
Look at you pulling out location names off the hip. Why is that, Liam?
Well, I'm a recovering World of Warcraft addict.
Whoa. You've fallen off the wagon, haven't you? Just recent?
Yeah, do you want to confess a little bit of information there?
Look, so between 2004 and 2008, this game consumed a large part of my life, and I loved it. And I kicked the habit, and then you fucking...
Go and start a podcast.
Pusher that you are. Why don't you just, have a little gander at the free month trial, quest a little with me, and fucking back in.
I sucked you back in, and we've been doing a little bit of questing together lately.
Now, in saying that, this film, without speaking it in too general terms just yet, required a lot of assumed knowledge that I was very happy that I had. Stu, you have never played World of Warcraft or any of the Warcraft games, is that correct?
I haven't, but I've seen Lord of the Rings, so I feel like...
Close enough is good enough.
I feel like this is basically all the same.
I should mention, because I'll probably talk about these points a few times later on, but I've been a fan not only of World of Warcraft, but the whole world, Warcraft world. I played the first, second, third game. Yep. It's a big part of my video game lifespan.
I just kept thinking, when is Aragorn and Gimli going to turn up?
They're coming. I swear, they're just around the corner.
Very good.
Look, and Liam, you touched on that assumed knowledge and your knowledge of the narrative leading into this movie and knowledge that I had as well. And people that, like Stu, would have been, and a lot of people, I mean, it did make a bit of money, this movie. There would have been a lot of people, I assume, that still saw it and be like, what the fuck is going on
and
here?
I came into this movie, I was here for the Duncan Jones.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So coming out of
Moon
and Source Code.
Yes.
And has subsequently
done this.
Sort of, no, and
been
Mute,
a bit shaky.
And Mute, which is on Netflix at the moment,
Yeah.
which everyone's gone, I think
really?
I think we called it too early on Duncan Jones.
His resume now might just consist of Moon and nothing else.
Yeah.
He might do a Paul Verhoeven and, the swings and the misses.
We'll see.
The roundabout.
Naked shower scene in
Yes.
this. Very good.
In Warcraft.
Yeah,
Why not?
Orc and human.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'd be a bit bashful being around some of those orcs, though.
But yeah,
Free the nipple.
Now, for someone like you, Stu, you wouldn't have noticed things like when this scene's first playing out and I see Gul'Dan and I'm like, that's Gul'Dan.
Yeah.
Without ever being told that's Gul'Dan.
You know.
I'm just like, I know that's Gul'Dan. How was this film, I guess perhaps in this preliminary sense for you, without any assumed knowledge? Because
this is the same as any fantasy world. It's back to how well the film can set up.
Dare you?
Because
this is the same as any fantasy world. This is Azeroth.
Heresy. Absolute
I went
heresy.
and, again, little humble brag. I went to the media screening of this. It was a packed house at George Street, and we had the guys from
You didn't deserve to be there.
No, I had the guys from Blizzard actually come and speak, and they
really?
were like saying, we're a couple of blokes they'd sent out from the States, and they go,
the interns.
Yeah, they had people like who had worked on a couple of the games, and there were people like yelling for the Horde,
Yeah.
and I was like,
and you were like, for the drunks.
I was like, for the popcorn and the free ticket. I thought we were just yelling out shit we wanted. No, I like this. What hit me on this rewatch is the movie opens with this fight of a human and an orc, right?
Yes.
Are we to assume, like Lord of the Rings, that is an ancient battle that took place?
To me,
at the
this was a
dawn of-
callback to the cinematics that open with each of the games, right?
No, more importantly, there's one quite famous cinematic at the start of Warcraft 3, I believe, where you get the shot of the hands just twitching after the fight when the Burning Legion arrives. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, vaguely.
So, but
It's been a
what-
while since I've had 3 on the computer.
What time frame is that
What do you-
encounter meant to be taking place where it's that orc kicking the shit out of that
Well,
dude?
I think that was just a general orc v human fight because it's
Because
sort
the-
of setting us up like orcs fight.
But
humans.
now that Stu says it, does seem quite odd because the orcs had not arrived on the world
and
yet.
the humans were like, what are these demon creatures? So
and that's why I'm saying I think it was more just a shout out to this cinematic that if you didn't know anything about it, it would have seemed odd.
But it's an odd thing to call out then because you go, because we had it in Lord of the Rings, obviously we set up where like we first saw Sauron on the battlefield and blah, blah, blah. We're not doing a review of that obviously, but I was like, is this, because it's never referred to again and it's not like,
It's just a taste.
honestly, it's
No, but
something that can be seen without context, and it does make sense as a fan of the games.
Oh, sure, yeah,
because
that's
you
what-
often do get these cinematics that have really nothing to do with the rest of the games, and they're just like put in there to look cool. And this was that.
Yeah.
What
And it
that was
does,
to me.
like-
and it makes
and-
no sense narratively.
and I think we probably all found this, and I don't know, did you guys catch this at the movies?
yes.
No,
Okay.
I did not.
This played so much better watching it at home on the TV.
it really
looks
does.
Like, it looked a
fucking
bit,
gorgeous.
everything looked a bit plasticky on the screen.
And we get that with the introduction of you get Duratan and his friend Orgrim, who Liam, you said you didn't realize it was Orgrim until quite some time into the movie.
I totally missed that until they finally dropped the sort of Doom Hammer surname in there somewhere.
Yes, but straight off the bat, looks amazing. That collection of orcs when they say all the clans have been gathered in this
Yeah.
valley and they're about to go through the portal.
And particularly when they do go through the portal and they're in the lush forests of Azeroth somewhere and the green's popping out and you've got the deer there and it just looks so good on like a 4K UHD TV set on dynamic. It looks fantastic.
Popped on the old 70-incher in front of me.
My only
here.
real criticism of when are orcs going to get with 2018 and women are allowed to have a job as well, whether they have a kid or not?
I know.
When do they get taken out of the workforce?
When will orc society get out of the prehistoric times?
Yeah,
They
so-
were like, typical orc female comes on this raiding party. Now she's on a year of maternity leave.
That
Yeah,
green skin ceiling.
She's just going to be like just drinking mead at sitting at home and skinning deer.
On that, I mean, we get introduced to the character, Duratan's wife, Drek. What's her name again?
can't remember,
I've already
sorry,
forgotten.
mate.
I apologise to everyone who's blowing up. Draka, that's it. And she's clearly pregnant, and then they do the little, we'll hide it and
Yeah, she
go
did.
through the
She did
portal.
the Elaine Barris trying to stand behind like the pot plant or the like. Oh,
Bennis.
Bennis.
Elaine
Sorry,
Bennis,
just
yeah.
happened to be holding a pillow every
Yes.
time she's around.
But it's a dangerous endeavour. Like, I mean, they don't let you get on planes if you're pregnant.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
You can't go
Let
through the
alone
X-ray.
going through fucking interdimensional portals.
Sure.
I think it's slightly frowned upon for the child.
Yeah.
But that whole, I don't know, that whole scene of gathering into the clans gathering, going through the dark portal, the portal bit swimming didn't really work for me.
No,
it's what do you do there?
Those effects do look a bit cheap, and this is where we are sort of painting with that CGI brush and filling in with all those CG characters, which kind of lost something. Like, again, the problem with this and with some of the effects, mainly like the weaponry and the costumes, it's not that long since Lord of the Rings was done with so much love and affection and with practical and real props, which make this look like a bit cartoony. It's not like, as much as we said it improves on the home viewing, it still looks a bit cartoony by comparison.
True. Yeah, but it's a video game adaptation. I think it did.
No, and see, I'm just going to pull you up there. You can't say, oh, but at the video game, you go, they're separate beasts, and you're playing in it. You got to appeal to someone like me who's never.
This is true.
You never run around putting spells on sheep or cats or whatever you freaks do in your basements.
You're the one missing out.
It's turning humans into sheep.
Sure.
Yes, into sheep.
I can see them. You're the ones.
Are we already
You're the
sheep, Liam?
You're the sheep paying Blizzard every month.
Commentary on society.
Yeah.
But the next scene I want to take everyone to is the orc ambush of the human scouting party.
Guardian, what did you do? I was right, wasn't I? It's here. Where are you going?
Get these men safely back to Stormwind. I have to return to Karazhan. You did well today.
Where's the Guardian? Karazhan! We need a prisoner. Where's your horse? They took my horse. Really? Just stay there.
Now, Liam, bit of action.
I know, I loved it. I was sort of like, okay, I want to see someone fight. And this was a really nice little introduction to how good the effects are, I think, between the human characters and the CGI orcs, of course.
And one of the orcs had been watching Point Break because he saw Bodhi throw a dog at fucking Johnny
Yes.
Utah. So throw a horse.
Yes.
Fucking hell.
But also you get a few throwing moments. Isn't it the guy that like throws his sword or whatever and just chops out the horse's legs?
Yeah.
Yeah, how can he use that horse when it ain't got no legs?
It's pretty full on.
And I hadn't read anything about this film, having a watch of this, or heard any real reviews about what the effects were like, or if they were shit, if they were great. And I thought they were fantastic, especially when I was a big fan growing up of like the Final Fantasy film, which got
You liked that?
I liked it.
Really? Spirits Within?
Spirits Within. I really liked that. I know, but you watch it now and you're like, okay, I see the uncanny valley effect. The effects just weren't there.
The hair twirling was, I remember that being a big thing.
Really took you out of it. But the engagement between the live action characters and the CGI orcs is fantastic.
Dumb guy question for the game. Are orcs that big?
They're pretty big.
Are they that? But are they big? Like, because
they hulk over humans in a way.
Can you
feel
play
like
as
they were a touch too big than what I'd really imagined.
Can you play as
the
an
size
orc?
of the orcs took you out of it in the fantasy movie.
Can you play as an orc in the game?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the main-
sign me up. I want to be an orc.
All right. It's one of the main races. You're in, buddy. I love it.
You can't play with Josh and I because we're alliance.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, well, now you've just upset a lot of listeners.
Oh.
So I'm sorry, guys. Yes, I am rolling Alliance while I'm playing with Liam, but I promise I'm going to be rolling Horde when Classic comes out.
Oh, really?
I've been annihilated for my choice of Alliance. Like, it's quite funny. The Horde players are very vocal about, obviously, their love for the Horde.
Oh, and I remember
the Alliance players say nothing.
Hey, it's a crossover episode, all right?
Sorry. No, I'm not going to school today.
No, that's funny that that's still the case because when I played, it was still very much everyone's like, you got to play Horde, and I'm like, yeah, I can see the appeal.
This is like
I played.
This is like single strapping versus double strapping when you go back to school. Hey, what are you doing? Double strapping every time.
I don't know. The Alliance has just always been fond for me.
Liam, you touched on the intermingling of practical effects, the actors playing with characters that aren't there.
Yeah.
They've got to somehow, go up against these CGI characters.
Yeah.
And I don't think, to be honest with you, Jones gets enough credit for how he's done this.
I think he handled it very
well. It
well.
looks fantastic. But it's a fun scene because prior to this, the introduction to the humans and just generally about this movie, everything every moment with the humans is the weakest part of the movie for me.
Except when you got Podrick from Game of Thrones in there.
Now,
well, the
was
Podrick wannabe. That wasn't
No, it wasn't, but he looked like him.
Well,
yeah,
a little
I was like,
bit.
don't tell me
He
Kattegat.
looks a lot like him. He looked like Podrick.
But he doesn't have the fucking hammer between the legs.
That we know.
I suppose you think all white people look the same. Stu.
Yes,
That's
Stu.
true. Mate,
Well, you're probably going to say next, all orcs look the same.
Mate,
Yeah.
in Azeroth, there is no race, my friend.
How dare you?
Did I get that right, did I?
I think
was
that's
my
actually about 7 or 8. But anyway.
But yeah,
Main
it's fun.
ones.
But the human moments, kind of like some of the acting at times is spotty, but at least with this scene, it's a fun human moment. And I can get caught up in yes, this is, funnily enough, the war of Warcraft. It's not, as the joke goes, it's not Peacecraft, it's Warcraft. And we're getting into it, and it's all a bit of fun, and I enjoy it.
I think it was around this scene as well that we got the shout out again, assume knowledge of the Murloc.
The Murloc, yes.
Which I love.
And they played the little sound effect that everyone knows and loves. And every Warcraft fan in the cinema went, ooh.
I know.
That was just for us.
They had to do that sort of thing, though. And I actually liked that they put it in there. It was brief. It was fleeting. It wasn't overdone. I chuckled when I saw it just riding past and it's under the bridge in the swamp, just making this little noise.
I fucking love those big ass fucking wolves they get around on.
Yeah,
the
they're
wargs.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And, again, seamless with the CGI.
Yeah, to an extent, as best you sort of can be nowadays with this sort of stuff.
Now, I did enjoy sort of, was it Durotan's handling of the horse that he steals when Khadgar gets chastised for, you'd let him take your horse.
Yeah.
And the way this huge orc is holding and directing this horse by effectively snapping its neck to the left and
Yeah,
to
it looked
the
like
right.
if Andre the Giant rode a horse.
Yeah, like, fucking, that horse is not having a good time.
No, that's not a good day in
At all.
Horseville.
No. But anyway, we move on from here to what I want to chat about is a summary of the depiction of Garona's imprisonment through this movie.
She calls herself Garona.
What kind of being are you?
She seems more like us than those beasts we fought.
Orc. Orc. That's what you are, or the beast in the cage was. I know every race in the Seven Kingdoms. I've never heard of Orc. Show me where you come from.
This is not Orc World. Orc World is dead. Orcs take this world now.
Now, there's a few scenes here in Stormwind, and we cut through a few moments in time, but I found it really bizarre how this movie depicted the imprisonment of a threatening character and how cool everyone is with her just being sort of at liberty.
Yeah, they just let her casually walk up to the king.
The king, and she's like, her chains
she's supposed
have been...
to be a vicious orc. Like,
Yeah.
she could conceivably snap his neck
Exactly.
easily.
She could wig out, and they're like, no, hold back, gents. Let them have a one-on-one chat. It's all good.
Let
And
us
problem,
sex it up.
the problem for me is when we touch on this character is nearly everyone in this film is a couple of clicks on the cog away from who should have been in the role. So I love a lot of the cast in this. I'm a big fan of, like, a lot of their other work, especially the Garona is Paula Patton, who is great in the Mission Impossible series. She's a very physical actress. She's great. The Queen is one of my favorite actors of late. Is Ruth Negga.
Ah, yes.
Who's just stunning. But she's almost, I'd see what she's meant to be doing as that softly spoken queen. But it's almost
Demure.
yeah, and it's almost like I'm like, oh, there's better work for you to be doing else that kind of thing out there. I just think there's a more seasoned sort of character actress that they could have had in for her role. I get that with a lot of this. Same with the king in this, right? Dominic, is it Dominic Cooper? Yeah.
Yes.
Like, no one brings, like, this is why sort of we used to have the sort of the British character actors that just brought this gravitas to the roles. Like, and this
This is
film,
where you need an Ian McKellen.
pretty much,
Yeah.
or like an Alec Guinness. Or,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying someone of that
Like
caliber.
Sean Connery. Kill those orcs.
Yeah, exactly. Like busting your head. No, but do you know what I mean? Like some of those like British daytime sort of
Yeah.
theatre
Yeah.
players sort of would sort of eat all this, like a Christopher Lee.
Have fun
They
with it.
eat up this material rather than look a bit like, we're playing like sort of fantasy dress-ups a bit. Like,
and Dominic Cooper didn't work for me in this movie at all. But it's funny with Garona and, as you say, Paula Patton's depiction of the character. I just felt the whole time, particularly on this watch through, given the now multiple viewings I've had of Guardians, it's just Zoe Saldana light.
Exactly. And even the look.
And it looks horrible
looks like
compared
Gamora.
to what they've done with Gamora.
And even the name looks very, very close. Is that something?
To be fair, it's always been Garona. It would have been Garona before it was Gamora.
I would think we had Garona before we had Gamora.
How old
100%. Mate, she was mentioned in the very first game, which was released in
91.
Yeah, but how old are the Guardians?
No, 93.
The Guardians are pretty old, I think.
Yeah, Guardians are a bit old. I'm not sure if they're 80s though.
I think they'd be maybe even earlier.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, fuck yeah. Maybe some people are jumping up and down.
Like
and
I think
were
Guardians
very early.
too. I think like Stan Lee wrote. I'm not sure.
I thought the Guardians were late 80s, which would put it on track. Yeah, okay.
They're just strikingly similar, that's all.
Not to take you out of the discussion too much, Stu, because I know you're at a loss. With the...
No, please do.
But just for me, it was odd how much time they spent on the character of Garona, given how little she's really played a part in any of the games.
The plotting is unnecessarily
She played an
convoluted.
important part, sure, but it was relatively small.
Yeah, she is a fucking Kingslayer.
Yeah, but there's just a lot of Garona in this film.
Who you got in the Kingslayer stakes? Jamie from Game of Thrones or
one? Oh wait, two hands or one hand, Jamie?
Let's go with two hands.
Two hands. Jamie all the time.
Jamie Lannister versus
as I was saying,
friend here in Warcraft.
This is unnecessarily convoluted. All of this plotting of who's doing what, like. A threat is coming, get your shit together. This is like, they spend so long in this period working out, is there a threat? What's the threat doing? Have we got any allies?
When you just saw the threat.
You've fucking shown it to us. Like, people who are really trusted by the king saw these big ass fucking demons. Move your ass. Get everything happening. Fucking
and I think
blow
this
the
is
horn.
where they sort of double-edge their blade between how much do we just go assume knowledge and how much do we need to give to the general audience who, your general Warcraft
But you
hunters.
don't need to. We've got evil is coming. It's good versus bad.
And I think they've got confused about how much they should do, and they've made this sort of mess in the middle of the movie.
You'll piss off both parties.
Yeah, and that's what they've done.
The game people
Slightly.
won't get nearly enough time seeing the worlds that you want to see.
That's right.
Like even the elves,
the elves look terrible.
And the elves look terrible. Even the dwarves in the mines.
Yeah.
They were like in and out. Here, I made you a boomstick, and then bang, bang.
Good old Iron Forge.
And you could have spent a long time even explore. That's probably the criticism of trying to do this in one film. Like Lord of the Rings had a long time.
And that's what I mean. This was
explore.
heavily based off the story of the first Warcraft video game,
Yeah.
not
Which was
World of Warcraft at all.
One of the lighter narratives.
Yeah, it was just essentially orcs and humans, and that was it. Really, it wasn't until game 2 and 3 that we got goblins, dwarves, elves,
Goblins.
Troy.
Yeah.
There was goblins in the second one.
Was there?
I thought you said there was.
they came later.
Goblin sappers were a character.
I thought you said there were gold blooms, and I was like,
But anyway, from there, moving on, the next scene, the meeting in the valley.
If my people are to survive, Gul'Dan must be destroyed. And 2 sons, the humans we have captured, will be used to fuel the portal. If you attack our camp and draw his warriors away, Frostwolf's clan will kill him.
2 days. If we do this, you will protect my people until then.
I will try.
Now, this is a bit of a deviation from the core narrative of the game that they're adapting. Some kind of clandestine meeting for some orc and human collusion, which never happened.
Never happened whatsoever.
But still a cool scene, and I get why Jones put it in there.
I think it was smart writing. I think it was good writing.
Yeah.
It made sense to me. I mean, I was like, oh, that's a bit weird. That's against canon, but yeah.
it's only really let down by 2 things. I think Travis Fimmel, who I like, is too young for the role he's been playing. This is meant to be sort of Sean Bean, Game of Thrones.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a grizzled father who is meant to have, what's his son meant to be, 16, 17 in this?
Oh, yeah, at least.
Travis Fimmel looked like
the guy's allowed to go to war.
Looks like it looks like his older brother.
But he can't have a drink
Yeah,
yet.
yeah, exactly. I was like, well, fuck, that's his son. Yeah, right.
Oh, were you on the tools at like 11? And also, like, Ben Foster in this. What movie is Ben Foster in? Because
I don't know.
Now-
Ben Foster doesn't do it for me in this movie.
yeah,
Oh, wow, you're keeping you up there, big guy. The old Warcraft
I've
topic.
been staying up playing Warcraft.
Yeah, you have.
Ben Foster was Medivh, of course.
yeah,
Yes.
He's terrible.
Yeah, I agree. Liam goes into bat
I
for
really
him.
liked him as Medivh.
Yeah, but when he is he meant to be this like hippie vibe, all love? When he turns up with the first shot we
the
get of him,
shirtless
when
thing
he's
he did
shirtless,
it.
he's
Yeah.
like, it was like, is this you about to do fucking? Is
Free
this
love.
Is this the Doors?
No, I do agree that did
Come
go
on,
against the
come on,
grain
come on.
of the Medivh character for me. Yeah,
Especially-
chiseling a sculpture shirtless.
Yeah, and he had the blunt that was just on the side.
Yeah.
And he was just like,
It's going to be whatever
it's
I
gonna
want
be
it to
fucking
be.
groovy. All right. You know about these spells. The older I get,
Green
they
skin, pink skin, doesn't matter. I'll fuck them all.
Yeah, but the Valley I like. I mean, hell of a setup by the Orcs. Very well. How early did they have to turn up to hide themselves?
True, yeah. I mean, they were there nice and early, digging deep. But
Yes, Doug, why is your hand up? I got a piss. Doug, we told you
talked about
this.
piss in
before
your pants.
Before we bury you, we could be here for hours, but I didn't need to go then.
But
I can see your shield. Fucking work with me, people. We got the king coming in. Like,
my chainmail will go rusty.
I enjoy in this scene the depiction of the language barriers, and we have the shots of the orcs speaking in Orcish and the translation going by Garona, and you actually get them then, obviously Durotan speaking in English, and
what I like that they subtly just because the way the camera kicked in onto him in English, you could hear her in the background still translating.
Yep. Yes.
Yep. So it was good that they just went, all right, I can't put subtitles up.
A cool little thing that I think.
Nice touch.
Yeah.
I think Jones did put a lot more effort into this than what he probably got credit for.
Yeah, the problem is with this, and I think Duncan Jones came out at the time and said, he goes, this is such a big film with so many so many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's hard for him, a sort of a fairly junior filmmaker anyway, to get much of a fingerprint on it. Like, it's different, well, maybe in a way of sort of like was Gareth Edwards is Star Wars Rogue One. Liam, take a drink. Star Wars reference. Is that a Gareth Edwards film? Is there? And you go, oh well, there's some visceral action, and there's some which is sort of consistent with what he's been doing.
Yeah.
But these are so big that the chances for them to put they can put a bit of shading on the sides.
Yeah, that's what for me. Like, I'm thinking if I was in Jones's position and I'm approached by a big studio as well as Blizzard. And they're like, okay, we want you to make this video game adaptation. You have to pander not only to the hardcore gaming community.
It's only got 12 million people playing it, so no pressure.
Also, we want you to give it a very broad mainstream appeal and let everyone, general viewers, follow along. I'd be like, I'm out.
But
find someone else.
But do your own thing. Risk free.
Yeah. But can you put that Jones stamp on it?
But
we've seen Moon.
Yeah, but and I think the death of the Lothar's son worked better for me on this time. Like, it was a bit manipulative the last time. Like, the last time I saw it, I thought it was a bit manipulative. Like killing someone literally on the other side of somewhere you couldn't get to.
I liked it. I liked how the attempts that Lothar had to make.
He wouldn't take no for an answer.
That was really good.
But it's interesting that you had to go at Ben Foster, obviously, Stu, and we get some more emotional performances here with our friend Travis Fimmel trying to save his son.
Yep.
And everyone's, doing their thing. I think it's ironic that the greatest performance in the movie, because we get a lot of Durotan in the negotiations in this scene. Best actor in this movie is the CGI character of Durotan.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He is fantastic.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
The voice provided by
Toby Kebbell.
Yes,
Who
Toby
did
Kebbell.
work in the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
He's the villain.
It's a stellar voice performance.
The voice acting in this overall is great.
A grade, yeah.
And Toby Kebbell's got one of those like, when I actually see him in films, I'm not a big fan of, like, he was in the reboot of the Fantastic Four. He played the Doctor Doom character. And there's a couple of other things when he's live action I don't really care for him, but his work in this and the Planet of the Apes movies is top notch.
And with that, we move on to the next scene of Durotan battling Gul'Dan.
I am Durotan, son of Garad, chieftain of the Frostwolf clan, and I am here to kill Gul'Dan.
Ghosts cannot invoke Malkara. You are the chieftain of no clan. Your people are food for worms. Some of us still live, Warchief. Shall I make a quick end of them? I always thought you were one for tradition, Blackhand. Durotan. Your clan was weak and you are a traitor. I accept your challenge if only to personally rip the heart out of your pathetic body.
This is a very, very fun scene for me and arguably the scene of the movie.
And it works for me because, and as you well know, I hate the immovable object versus the unstoppable force nature of fights in Marvel movies.
Right.
But I think it's this type of fight between these two mammoth characters with these powers is done really well in this. It's a small ring circle. It's very visceral. They start off only with their fists, and we've got Durotan tearing off one of Gul'Dan's tusks off his back. I really like this fight.
Oh, that was my favorite tusk.
But it could be also, like you say, like when the Hulk fights people. Then you've got two Hulks fighting each other. Are there any stakes in it?
Yeah, exactly.
Is anyone really at threat? And it seems like they were prior to him using his magic.
Yes.
But is he meant? Is like Durotan? No,
Durotan.
No, who's the baddie?
Gul'Dan.
Is he meant to be that just hulked up? And
well, that was kind of the play.
I took it like it was like all those YouTube videos of where someone gets dressed up like as an old man.
Yeah.
And they go to Venice Beach and do powerlifting.
He Uncle Gul'Dan him.
Yeah. And I was like, because he's like,
damn, he's got some moves.
And he's getting around with like the walking stick, and then he's like, oh,
show these young bucks.
Yeah.
Young bloods, all the young bloods.
Put some more weight on. But no,
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, he's the ruse is that he's this hobbled older orc.
Sure, yeah.
But he's still a fucking orc at the end of the day, and he disrobes, and he's still muscly and on the roids.
Yeah, I mean, that can't be good for his posture, always getting around on the walking stick. It'll catch up with him.
But it's like you say, I enjoy the lore that we get in terms of, and it's a very light touch of the orcs going, no, we've got a tradition. We don't have to explain the rules to you. It's pretty obvious by whatever it's called.
I mean, again, every sort of tribal thing, we saw it recently in Black Panther. They had their tribal thing of you get to fight for the crown.
That's right.
So this is the same sort of thing.
Exactly.
That's as far as it needs to go. We don't need the deep dive into the lore to say.
The explanation.
Yeah, back in, 19 Diggity, it was all set up. That was the fashion of the day.
I actually think it was 18 Diggity.
18 Diggity. But it works. I mean, and talk about the body gore as well. When he or body horror, when he sucks him dry of all his sort of life force.
Yeah.
That's pretty full on when he's on the ground and still trying to get back up. And
that's what I mean. These fights, they have repercussions. It's something that is missing from these Marvel movies. We've got our main protagonist here being sucked dry of his life force.
Who we've fallen in love with at this stage.
And I bet a lot of people who were familiar with this movie were like, oh, he's surely going to come back to life at some stage or something like that. But no, he's dead. He's a shell on the ground. He's dead.
Shades of Optimus Prime carking it in the Transformers movie.
That's true.
That we covered.
Yeah.
Please go back and listen to that one if you fancy it. But just the decrepit character near death, not taking no for an answer and fighting to the bitter end.
Yeah.
It's a touching scene. It's a heart-wrenching scene for me.
The only thing I didn't buy in this is when everyone's gone, you cheated, and he's like killed 3 dudes, and they've gone, okay, we're sweet. I still think 3,000 orcs win over like one guy. They just pull him apart.
I don't know. He's a level 60 elite warlock, Stuart.
Again, deviation from the lore of the first game. Durotan was killed in an ambush with his wife.
Yes. There are a few canon forks in the road,
but
essentially.
Again, I think what they did differently with the death of Durotan's wife, at the hands of this random orc on the Riverside when she let Thrall go in the basket, and then Durotan's death being at the hands of Gul'Dan in Murok-Ta.
Yeah.
I think that's much more preferable than having them randomly killed in an
No.
ambush.
And some of the canon changes, actually the majority of the canon changes in this film, I wasn't up in arms about. And they're not changing the canon. It's just for this movie.
It's adapting it for film.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was fine with the decisions they made because, look, ideally at the end of the day, it really does work for a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
Did you guys enjoy the sort of the way the camera would zoom around from that sort of
For the baby shot?
well, the eagle eye version down to the ground when we'd sort of go globally and you'd be looking down on battle sequences. Is that
Because I loved it. I was looking all over the place.
because I
at
got
all
the sense
times.
that was coming from sort of a game mechanic.
Yeah.
Well, again, it's grand scale, Warcraft, war is big, large.
But is that a shot? Does the game move like that? Do you go from it's like super high looking down?
No,
like
I get what Stu's
like
saying, particularly for the RTS ones.
Yeah.
You know, you pull back on your mouse wheel and you pull out a bit.
I
from the
wouldn't
world.
know because my view is usually from the graveyard. So,
But I got that sense, and this is hard when you're sort of the outsider seeing things. If that was meant to appease the fans, kind of thing.
I feel like they did do a pullback shot in certain stages
RTS
for the
shot.
RTS
Yeah.
homage.
cool.
And the next scene and final scene that we're going to discuss is the final battle.
Blackhand comes to claim the honor of killing you.
Corona. No good will come from us both dying. Look around you. We're surrounded. Your killing me is the only hope we have for peace. You told Lady Taria that killing her would bring you honor. Well, killing me will make you a hero. Survive. Bring peace between orcs and humans. You must.
So now, big sweeping action piece, Lord of the Rings style, humans coming in waves.
And this was what I was waiting for so long in this film.
And look, Andrew and Lothar gets to do his thing. He's the knight in shining armor who flies in at the end.
The only problem with this is they don't ever explain, short of the guns, why all of a sudden the humans can sort of start to take down orcs relatively simply.
Well, they're smarter than them, and, you know, they got taught, don't try to outmuscle them, you got to outwit them.
They're stronger. Don't use brute force against them. Be smarter.
Maybe they worked it out.
No, but after like they shoot a couple, once they start getting into the sword fights, they seem to be able to chop them down pretty easily, and I'm thinking, these orcs still look like they're 2-story buildings. Anyway, I just noticed, like, towards the end when they've sort of got them encircled.
He's being that guy.
He's being that guy. He's clearly never been in a duel.
He's taking your spot.
I know. How dare you, sir?
It feels good.
I'll show you the intricacies. When you roll an orc, and I'll show you how to take one down very easily.
Okay. I don't even know what that entails, but you know.
With your computer game.
But look, it's obviously, again, a grand scale, a lot of CGI going on. Jones has got a lot of moving pieces to balance, and I just really think that he copped a lot of flack for probably the wrong reasons.
Again, balancing beautifully, for the most part, the live action actors and the CGI.
Yeah.
It is almost seamless.
And the one thing that's fair to say is this sequence doesn't overstay its welcome. It wraps up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Last sort of 15 minutes is fairly quick.
I think this scene is a great example of some of the positives of the movie. And don't get me wrong, this movie has issues, but they're more narrative-based and performance-based than Jones-based.
Yes.
I really think he was unfortunate to cop so much shit for this one.
I mean, I think it's unfortunate that he chose this to do for his career. But yeah, I'm not going to slam the direction too much in this film.
But I think like the problem with this final sequence is we're jumping back to the fight with Medivh, and that's pretty lackluster.
That's pretty
with the
boring.
fucking putty monster.
Back in Dalaran
that's
with
the
with the
weakest
golem.
That's the weakest shot in the movie for me.
And then also, and I know we're not touching on, but the actual effects of jumping when Podrick went to view, when he went up to the Never-Ending Story people. And he said, show me the truth.
And said, what's in the box?
And he said, oh, it's pretty much dark is from light and light's from dark, like every fucking fantasy game.
Yeah. I didn't appreciate the when they do the wise mage having the schlocky line. We're like, oh, it's never done that before.
done that before.
Yeah, you go, well,
should I go
shut
in?
up.
No.
Yeah.
Well, No, it has now. So.
But what do you think of the change in law with Garona doing the old, the king essentially doing assisted suicide?
It worked for me. Again, like, I can see narratively in this film why it would make sense. You know, we've seen throughout this film how kind the king has been to Garona. You know,
you know why.
Wants to lie with me.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's let her get close. He's placed a lot of trust in her. And so I believe it, and I like the way that they did it, you know?
And it does set up some potentially interesting tension and drama for a sequel when he says,
which I hope gets made.
Believe me, he said to kill him.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Did anyone witness this declaration?
But what did you think of the building of the bonds? And again, I think Jones has commented saying, look, one of the things he regrets about this movie is there were too many narratives going on. He didn't get to buckle down and focus on sort of core components of certain characters. But the very, very, I didn't know why I would believe that the king and Garona had very quickly formed this weird bond where he's
really?
like, I trust you so much, like, take my life. It's for your...
I get that just from this film. I get the bond.
I get it, but I just don't think they showed it very well of them getting close.
And you need to say...
They needed to show him lying with her.
They needed to show her why her people were in trouble as well. Like, they needed to have... The enemy of my enemy is my friend, sort of thing. Like, one of those kind of things are going, well... We just have to work together, and which is usually common in sort of fantasy stuff.
You're right; they never had the moment, and it would have been a brief moment. That was all it would have been required.
My tribe's going to get destroyed.
Why
by
did
Gul'Dan.
she care?
Yeah,
why did she care?
And why does he care? Like, she's just another orc. Like, why is he all of a sudden this holier than thou kind of bloke?
They say, you've always wanted to be accepted by the orcs, but we've never seen major issues.
No.
Yeah.
And the problem is, like, you are giving your life for this cause, and he never seemed as a very interested king to begin with.
No. Maybe he was in it for just the booze and the horse.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Which,
the
that's
green
not a bad...
babes.
Yeah.
But the final sort of Black Hand versus Lothar moment, did that work for you, Liam?
So much so.
Yeah.
Again,
I think it's
I
excellent.
hate to reference again why I hate these Marvel fights, but again, like, just something real and visceral about these two Goliaths facing off against each other. All it takes is one good move, one really smart tactical move, and then a very satisfying visceral sword through the back.
And it's quick. Like, we joked about the Troy fight with Brad Pitt and the huge Aussie bloke the other day.
That works just as well.
A quick, short, sharp, still cool moment.
Yep.
Doesn't have to go for 7 minutes.
I don't need the Super Saiyan charge up for 15 minutes of each person's abilities, coupled with some sort of stalemate, coupled with, now I have the upper hand.
Or like various shields breaking or swords breaking.
Yeah, but just this slide under his legs with the sword to the groin, and that...
It's how I want to go out.
Sword to the groin.
It's how I intend to take you out.
Excellent.
Well, this arrangement is perfect.
Yes, works for everyone. And
is it a fitting revenge for his son? I believe so.
I think so.
Yeah,
particularly
he killed
when
the
he
guy
finishes
who did
him off. Like, and the whimpering cry he gives when he has got the slice to the ghoulies, like
the scalpel to the croutons.
Yes.
The
fight worked for me. I really enjoyed that.
It's unfortunately that's not really the end of the movie. Like that. I mean, I don't know how you end.
It wraps up really quickly.
Yeah,
really quickly.
That schlocky. I mean, that schlocky cheering to the crowd at the end didn't really work for me. But anyway,
but it's no different to the throne room at the end of Star Wars. Like,
true.
Shut up, cat.
As my cat vouches for the ending of Warcraft.
And I made it no secret that I didn't particularly enjoy this when I came out of the first time I was watching it. And unfortunately, I would love to see a sequel now. And, the economic realities, it sort of fell to about, I think it was under 500 million worldwide, big in the Asian market in terms of, I think that's where most of its box office came from.
Yep. Big in China.
Unfortunately,
Just like me.
we may not get a sequel.
No, we probably won't. And in wrapping up, that's sort of been Warcraft, and we'll get to a few more. If this is your first time listening, we'll get to a few more fun segments after this. But just in summarization for that one,
the sin.
It's the sin. Yeah, the sin of gluttony. Look, as I say, I've only seen this movie a handful of times now, but it does get better the more I watch it.
Which is sort of the hallmark of the gluttony. Like, I know this is sort of bad for me. I know it's not a great film, but I keep getting something every time I come back. And sometimes those wackier performances, you might start to forgive them over multiple watches.
Yeah. And even as a former WoW addict, I never thought I would actually enjoy this movie. Obviously, almost every video game adaptation is terrible. I don't think there's a sin here. I'll watch this again gladly.
Yeah.
And for me, honestly, I think this is my favorite video adaptation film.
It's right up there for me.
That's not exactly a hard achievement given, the horses that are in that race. But more than that, and I know we're not in the habit of giving rankings in this of films, but this is like a good 6.5 movie out of 10 for me.
It's a fun 7 to 6.5.
Might be a 7 for me. I'll give it a 7, sure.
Yeah, why not?
Pushovers.
Which I never ever expected to have given it.
True.
No sin.
Thank you.
No, I wouldn't say you're a sinner. Not for this. Litany of other problems, but not this.
And now it's time for winners and losers.
It wasn't going to be easy, but they've won it.
Each episode, we pick some of the people who had a few gains from this movie, perhaps an actor or a character, or people who didn't fare so well. Now, who wants to start off, everyone?
I will.
Go for it.
Winner for me, the look of the orcs.
Mm-hmm.
Seconded. I had more a general one, but seconded.
Varied costumes, weapons, trinkets hanging off them, all probably symbolic from something in their sort of their culture. Really like the size. The size remained consistent across the film. Sometimes in these films they can sort of shrink down at the final battle sequences, so it's sort of for framing. I like that they sort of stayed the size. The loser for me, touched on it before, is Foster. I just think he's terrible. I think he's like literally should have been. This is where you have your old British kooky Ian McKellen, Alec Guinness playing the wizened old veteran.
Fair enough.
They're like, you've been away for 7 years. Fuck off! Like he was at his 30th 7 years.
And I just don't understand magic, Stu.
Sure.
In the game, I don't recall Medivh ever being depicted as overly young. Like in Warcraft 3, he's clearly an older man.
Yeah, because he plays the mysterious prophet in Warcraft 3, doesn't he?
Yes.
Like I actually would have liked if they kept the look. Like Travis Fimmel would have been a better Medivh. Like I know they're probably the same age, but just the bearded sort of like shaggy dog
and
kind
just
of thing.
throw a few greys in the beard.
Yeah.
My winner is we touched on it. Toby Kebbell, was it? Kebbell. Toby
Voice actor
Kebbell
of Durotan.
Durotan, who brought to life a really nuanced character, and I think it's relatively tough just through your voice to really bring these emotions to the screen, and he did.
What if he did the performance capture work for his actual body stuff?
Maybe.
He does a lot of that. He does that in World of Warcraft, like Andy Serkis does. So I wonder if this had. I imagine.
You mean in Planet of the Apes?
Yeah.
I felt more emotion for this particular character than any of the movies we've done in recent memory. Like, I really cared about this character, and that's obviously done by the wonderful performance. My loser is the script writer of Warcraft. The reason being, not that I think the script is overly horrible, but if you're going to tell a Warcraft story or narrative, you went with the plot from Warcraft 1. Now, I understand why you're starting at the beginning.
Correct.
This is the first Warcraft movie we're getting. But for fuck's sake, if you only got one shot at the cherry, give us the Warcraft 3 narrative, one of the greatest video game narratives ever fucking told.
But why would you start at number 3? Like, that's just lunacy. That's like starting a series on episode 4.
Oh.
Star Wars reference!
So that was a disappointment for me, because I would love to think that at some point in the future we'll get Warcraft 3 as a movie and it will fucking be amazing.
I'd like to see it come back as an animated thing.
Yeah, that'd be cool as well.
My winner was, again, to mirror yours, Stu, just the look of the film. Again, CGI perfectly balanced against live action. I don't think I've seen any other film do it as well. I really, really loved it. The loser for me was, and this was hard, it probably was the fact that you did require so much assumed knowledge for this film. Yeah, I don't know how they could have fixed that problem, but even I was sort of half Googling different parts of lore while I was watching it, just playing catch-ups.
All those poor girlfriends that got dragged along to this movie. Oh my gosh.
And the biggest reaction when I saw this in
This
cinema,
is for 27 dresses, you bitch.
like the crowd was relatively inactive.
Right.
Until that fucking guard got turned into a sheep.
Right, and they went
The place
nuts.
went fucking mental. I was
Yes.
like, fuck all of you. You're the reason this isn't going to make money because you come out and go, oh, we only got one fucking sheep scene.
Yeah.
Like, clearly.
But it was a good sheep scene.
Fuck.
That's
some
winners and losers.
good polymorph action.
Polymorph. Stu, do you know what that means?
Sorry, I stopped caring.
Murloc, sap, polymorph.
You got it.
Did they take that from Harry Potter?
We're totally ganking you right now.
Oh, dear.
I wish you'd shank me.
And now it's time for Top 5.
Each episode, we get the sinner to compile a list of their choosing. Josh, what have you come up with today?
Okay, the list I've brought you to is the top 5 video game adaptations that I'd like to see get made next.
Oh, I like this.
Right, so as Liam, as we all touched on, we've had some video game adaptations over the years. They haven't been too crash hot.
If the Nintendo Entertainment System classic Wall Street Kid isn't getting made into a movie.
Oh, and Liam, you just mentioned number 5 on our list. Wall Street Kid.
Yes.
So, we'll never forget the infamous day of the cinephiles get together when we all discovered Wall Street Kid and had a bit of fun.
We drank about a case of beer each, and then somehow at 1 a.m. we were playing Wall Street Kid.
I'd like to call it
house.
the conception of the cinephile.
Yes, I think we
Basically.
discussed the podcast then. And how good a movie would that make? Who would we put in the role as the Wall Street Kid?
Can't
be Charlie Sheen. He's done it before.
How young does the kid have to be?
Well, let's make it a kid. I'm thinking Jonathan Lipnicki.
He's not a kid anymore.
What about
Well, I'm thinking Jerry Maguire era.
Okay.
Lipnicki.
Oh, yeah. Who is like a really
The
petulant...
human wallet weighs 8 pounds.
Yeah.
Let's hear 4 before we get into a Wall Street Kid hole.
Number 4. Shaq Fu. Yes.
It'd be so much better than Kazam.
Oh, how well.
Not that that was a video game movie, but, you know, an NBA crossover play.
As you know, Shaq Fu, a 1994 SNES and Genesis game. Why not? Let's give Shaq another crack at the cherry.
I think so. Well, he's going to be in the Uncle Drew movie, so we'll see
yes,
how that
he's
goes.
going to be.
If we're doing Shaq Fu, I also want the video game film based on Enter the Wu. Wu-Tang Clan a la Mortal Kombat game that I think was on PS1.
Yes, absolutely. Number 3, Goat Simulator.
Hey.
Oh, God.
We're all
There are
familiar
many
with this
that
game.
would like that. Oh,
It's
yeah.
like Battleship, but better.
Put it on the silver screen. Fuck it, if Tetris is getting a fucking remake, why can't we do bloody Goat Simulator? Who'd we put? Did we put, the old South Park joke, Stevie Nicks as the goat?
Of course.
Yeah, got to be done.
Well, I think that could bring Daniel Day-Lewis out of retirement. He would go full method goat.
Oh, yes.
He'd just be chewing.
And
he'd be chewing on cans,
and he'd only
be,
speak in goat.
Yeah, and
I chew your cud.
he can get a little beard happening.
Number 2, Toilet Kids.
What is that game?
This was a TurboGrafx 16 game from 1992.
Only available in Japan.
Well, it's funny you say that. It was it was a Japanese shooter.
Is that where Wall Street Kids goes to the toilet?
So here was the plot of Toilet Kids.
No, I don't
A
want-
kid wakes up in the middle of the night to drop a deuce, but then he gets sucked into a magical world where he's under assault by fecal matter.
Sure, which is what we ended up with the Super Mario Brothers movie. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
What platform was that released?
TurboGrafx 16.
Thank you.
Now, the number 1 video game that I'd like to see next get adapted into a movie is Seaman. Seaman, I should say. Liam, you look very confused.
I've never heard of Seaman.
Seaman was a Dreamcast game that just starred a fish with a human face. I recommend you look this up. It's one of the more awkward games of all time. And it's like, talk about the shape of water. Fuck that. Seaman has got the goods.
I really thought you were going to go like Leisure Suit Larry.
No, well, we could do that one as well, but that's
Sexy.
been done. I mean, Leisure Suit Larry's effectively like that movie gets made. It's not a video game adaptation, but we get
maybe
a lot
Jason
of that.
Alexander could play this
Seaman. Yeah, bald. Yeah, I like that.
Why not?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's been top 5.
Solid. And now it's time for Tidbits. Each episode, each of your hosts goes away and comes back and tells you a little bit of little-known, perhaps, knowledge about the film that we've just been discussing. Who wants to kick us off, lads?
I have some that, because I don't want my tidbits stolen from you guys.
Okay.
I say you guys may not have picked up on these because this is something I noticed, then I did my deep dive and confirmed it.
Okay.
That the human who picks up Goel at the end of the film is Dallas Blackmore, who I thought it was, who later trains him to be the gladiator by the name of Thrall. So yeah, I thought that was the case.
Are you trying to be super nerd?
Wow. You're trying to out nerd us?
I'm looking at you this whole time going,
what was that?
Who is this guy? Draka and Duratan had said more than once that their baby comes from an unbroken line of chieftains. It corresponds to the character of Thrall in the Warcraft series.
Yes.
And in the series, he's reigned as the chieftain for some time. So again, nice little callback to the franchise.
You know what you're doing right now?
What is he doing?
All he's doing is telling us like, that character, he's called a ranger. Like if you're talking to Lord of the Rings nerds.
Yes. Now, Liam, were you a Thrall or a Thrall person?
Thrall.
Yeah, Thrall, right?
More importantly,
what's your other one?
the Wilhelm scream. It appears at 25 minutes and 12 seconds.
It does.
Made popular in the Star Wars franchise thanks to Ben Burt.
Liam?
My tidbits. My first one is that Bill Westenhofer, the lead visual effects supervisor for the film, is a long-time World of Warcraft player and has mentioned that he was getting up at 2 a.m. in the morning before going to the film sets to raid with his guild.
Oh, that's cute.
Dedication.
Do you feel like everybody said that in the job interview?
Yeah, I love World of Warcraft. Totally.
I wish I was playing it now.
Mate, I'm one of those cow guys. I fucking love it.
I've got a level 400 night heifer.
I actually may say no to taking this because it'll cut into Warcraft time. Is that all right? Oh, you're hired. Oh.
Now, okay, this is again sort of our constant allusions to practical and otherwise not practical effects. Life-size weapons and suits of armor were built for the orcs, despite the orcs being played by actors via motion capture. This was mainly for photographic references and so that they could use them as props on the set. Yeah, so there we go. And this last one, I just wanted to mention it because it just goes to show how much love and devotion went into the special effects side of things. The film went through 20 months of post-production.
That's a long period of post.
Yeah, I imagine most of that was obviously working on the special effects, CGI and stuff like that.
Good stuff. Now, it's funny you mentioned people that were part of the crew who might be taking time out of their Warcraft schedule to be involved in the filming of this movie. Because actually, the actor who portrayed Orgrim Doomhammer told fans at Comic-Con that he once had a girlfriend actually break up with him because he did play too much World of Warcraft. But he added, it would all be really, really sad and pathetic if I wasn't doing this movie. But because I am doing the movie, it's totally okay.
Yeah.
On that note, I introduced my sister's ex-boyfriend to World of Warcraft.
And now he's dead.
I feel like it had some small part to play in their relationship breakdown.
I'm blaming most of it on that.
And me.
Hell'll be why this podcast breaks up.
Anyway,
amongst other things.
That's our way out of the contract, Stu.
A funny note, if you were at BlizzCon 2014...
Oh, Stu, you were there, weren't you?
Yeah. pinching myself.
I can imagine. At that particular convention, Duncan Jones actually recorded Alliance and Horde shouts from fans for use in the film. So some of the roars in particularly the final scene, I think, and through the movie in general, were just fans at the convention.
Yeah, he used it for the bleating of the sheep.
Shut up. This is not going to be a good crossover episode. At least he's taking all the hate away from kind of me. And
That's true. That's what it sounded like.
Just shut up.
And the final point is, guess who made the score, put score together for this movie? Do you know? Because I'll tell you.
But I forget.
Our friend Ramin Djawadi from Game of Thrones fame.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't sing anymore. We don't have the rights.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to fork over any money for that one.
Hello, legal? Yeah, I know. We told him to shut the fuck up.
He was eerily close to it.
I was about to say
he pulled out 7 seconds in. That's his style.
One thing that didn't blow me away in this film was the score. I feel like it could have been better, paid more lip service to fans.
And that's why I brought it up. It wasn't a notable score, so I was really surprised to read that.
You would have made this on your fucking electronic drums, because that's all it was. It was just drumming.
What I mean, there is so much good, recognizable music for the fans to just go, wow, without taking common audiences away from this. And they just didn't do it.
No, it didn't do much for me. But anyway, that's been Tidbits. And now it's time for Sinners Are Grinners. It's Sinners Are Grinners, the new game show that 5 out of 10 orc shamans are giving 2 thumbs up. Liam.
So good.
Does that mean it's popular, or does that mean how many thumbs do they have? Is this a space thing?
I think it's a good thing.
Okay, good. All right, I'm on board.
I feel like I might have an unfair advantage going into this one.
Oh, you very well might do.
Oh, I'm going in... I fucking feel like the king going into the valley. This feels like a turkey shoot.
So if this is your first time with us for Sinners and Grinners, what we do is the sinner poses 3 questions to the non-sinner, and to the non-sinners, I should say, and awards points as they see fit to the best answer that is provided. So,
question 1. If I was a mage class and I was stuck in the hinterlands,
you were invoking
how
so
do you know
much
about the
internet
hinterlands?
Yeah. How does he?
That's strange.
Yeah.
All right. Question the first. The world of Warcraft has many races involved in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Night Elf, Tauren, Troll, Orc, and Human. If you were a race in the game, what would you be?
Not interested.
How dare you throw our hobby under the bus?
If they're all going to be like this, you win, sir.
Terrible.
I'm conceding.
Okay. And you know what? For your insolence, and despite the fact that you got it right, -1 point.
How's that backache? Yeah, good.
Go hit me, I'll stand up and talk.
Can you fuck off and talk?
The second question I've got for you is, if you could polymorph someone into anything, what would it be? Liam.
Polymorph you into a cat.
Well, then I'd be I'd be 5 walking around this place.
I'd turn you into a male cat.
Stuart.
Polymorph Liam into a sex doll.
Oh, no.
For me.
Am I?
And Stuart gets the point. Would he still have the red hair?
And
sorry, the strawberry blonde
Am I
hair?
male or female sex doll?
It doesn't matter. It's not going to be good either way.
Stuart, 10 points. And the third question. Now, Liam, you've recently started playing World of Warcraft again.
That's just an allegation at this stage. It's yet to be proven.
The question to both of you is, what will be the first inappropriate thing that Liam says to a fellow adventurer during his time back in the World of Warcraft? Yes, Stuart.
Is this a rash?
I can't do any better than
Oh, dear. I do enjoy that. Yes, asking your fellow guildies or party, guys, I've got this thing on my leg.
Guys,
it looks like...
I'm going to text the group chat. Look, it's not my elbow, but somewhere that looks similar.
And that's been Sinners Are Grinners, and I'm awarding all the points to Stu, and he wins. Woo! Wow, Liam, you've really gone downhill.
You know, with that winning attitude, you should join us in the world of Azeroth for a fun time.
Yes.
I just may after all this. So
I'd love
what
that.
character do you reckon will get Stu in?
I don't even know how to
He'd
get...
have to be a troll.
Oh, it's fucking right in his fucking element there.
I don't know. How do you get into the World of Warcraft? Like, what do I use?
We'll show you.
Yeah, is
there's a special knock and a handshake.
Yeah, is it like the entrance to Hogwarts, or do I have to just run at the wall?
I'm not going to lie.
Just as many 13-year-old children involved.
Yeah, very good.
I'm not going to lie. You're going to have to grease a few poles to get in.
God. Sign me up.
Thanks so much for coming along for the fun, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Cinephiles. If this was your first time stopping by, please do go and check out all our other episodes on all your favorite movies of all time, and you will have a lot of fun, we guarantee.
Stu, since everyone knows that I don't belong anywhere else other than on this special podcast, where else can everyone listen to you?
Come over and find me at geekofoz.com. And Stu_watches on Twitter, but Geek of Oz for movies and gaming. We touch on that a lot, so come over to our Facebook page, is where sort of most of the action is.
And as a lot of you know, you can find me on countdowntoclassic.com, where we break down everything World of Warcraft Classic. So I can't wait to see you all at the next episode. I hope you've enjoyed this one.
I'll, of course, be approaching random strangers in the street around the Sydney CBD, asking if they're Cinephiles fans. If they are, I'll be apologising for this episode.
Fair enough.
Seems like a long draw to bow.
With that, you tool. With that, thanks everyone. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi again, everyone. I really do hope that you enjoyed that, and I just wanted to take 1 minute now to tell you all that I'll actually be kicking off with the interviews next week. I've already conducted a few, and believe me, they are going to be a fantastic addition to the show. I'm absolutely busting to bring you these chats, and I couldn't be happier with the insight that the guests that I've had so far have provided. I recently chatted with listener Dustin about all things speedrunning within the game. Then I spoke with YouTuber Super Soaker about guild management and YouTubing. Then out of nowhere yesterday, I managed to speak with Alex Sensual about private servers and his view on his place within the classic World of Warcraft community. It was a fascinating interview, and trust me, you should want to hear that one, which will be leading our run of interviews starting next Friday, April 20th. In the meantime, please do keep listening to all things Countdown to Classic at countdowntoclassic.com. And as always, everyone, please do spread the love. Tell your in-game friends and guildies about the show. If you have a memory lane or an anger management submission that you'd like me to read out on the show, then please do send them through to feedback at countdowntoclassic.com. And with that, I hope you all have a great weekend. See you, everyone.